Dentists are said to earn well and have a lovely work-life balance, which is why people are extra surprised when I tell them that I quit. My name is Dr. James Martin and I retired from dentistry 4 years ago at the age of 29. The truth is, dentistry just didn't light me up from the start, and as time went on, I realized it didn't really make sense for me anymore. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the reasons why I quit dentistry and also how I did it. I'm also going to be speaking on why a lot of UK dentists are frustrated at the system, which is super important to know if you're considering a career in dentistry. So let's get into it. Now, if I was going to list all the reasons why dentistry can be tough as a profession, we're going to be here all day. So what I'm actually going to do in this video is list my top 4. Remember, these are my personal top 4, so I'm only speaking from my experience. Other people out there may have different opinions. That's completely fine. I'm just sharing my own reasons as to why I left the profession. Let's go ahead and talk about those 4 big reasons why I chose to step away from dentistry as a career. The very first thing we got to talk about is how tough being a dentist is on your physical health. And it may or may not surprise you to learn that, but if you think about it, it kind of stacks up because you're spending a lot of your day hunched over like this, looking in patients' mouths. Naturally, that's going to catch up with your back health and your neck health at some stage, the joints in your back and neck, even if you've got the best posture in the whole wide world. You're also exposed to pathogens and bacteria all day long because you're looking in people's mouths and they're breathing on you and they might be unwell. You run the constant risk of having a needle stick injury from one of the injections that you're using. There's a very good chance you're going to give somebody an injection and accidentally stab yourself. Yes, that does happen. It's not unheard of by any means whatsoever. You're going to be receiving a little bit of x-rays dosage each and every time you take an x-ray on the patient. And then in addition to that, a lot of the materials that you use are hazardous for your health and they can build up in your body and bioaccumulate with time. For example, the mercury that is used in amalgam restorations, which are commonly still used in the UK, especially under the NHS. In fact, a 2015 study by the UK newspaper, The Independent, put dentistry as number 1, pause for effect, on a list of 27 jobs that are bad for your health. So basically it ranked the worst out of all of the jobs that are known to be bad for your health. Yes, that's higher than asbestos worker, by the way, as well. If you want to go ahead and read that full survey, you can use the link below in the description. And no, don't ask me either why they selected 27, they just did. Psychological health factors, this is something I really should have taken way more seriously before I started being a dentist, before I started that job. I should have placed way more credence on that. I just didn't think it would affect me that much somehow, and I don't know why. Actually, this is a massive issue for a lot of dentists. It is tough. There's a lot of difficult patients that you're going to have to deal with, unexpected outcomes from treatments. There's a lot of moving parts in the day-to-day, a lot of people that you have to deal with. So naturally, there's a lot of parts where people can get upset and angry and annoyed at you, which does happen and doesn't help the situation at all. In fact, dentistry is so stressful that it consistently ranks as one of the professions with the highest suicide rate. Again, I've went ahead and I've put a survey to the figures that I'm referencing in what I've just said in the description of this video. So why is it so tough mentally? I hear the audience ask. Well, speaking from experience, from my perspective, one of the reasons that I found it tough on occasion and definitely had a few sleepless nights was the fact that you can do the most perfect root canal or the most perfect filling or the most perfect extraction, something along those lines. And even though you've done your job amazingly well, it's down to the human body to determine the success or failure of that treatment. It's kind of out of your hands to your degree because there's a little thing called host response, which is the healing process of the body. So naturally, even though you can do an amazing job, if your body just decides that it's not going to heal for whatever reason, then basically some of your treatments mightn't work. Now, that's all well and good, most people are understanding, but it really only takes you to perform a few treatments like that on 1 to 2 patients who just don't take your word for it or won't believe you that that's what's happened and then blame you for your life to get really stressful. And this is actually the cause of a lot of problems and complaints in dentistry and breakdown in patient miscommunication. There's nothing wrong with the treatment per se, it was just maybe how it was communicated to them or how they reacted. So that for me was a huge stress factor. I used to find that really frustrating, that I felt like I'd really given my all and done an amazing job, but I still didn't get the result that I wanted. Found that really difficult mentally to deal with, and I feel like a lot of dentists are in that boat as well. It's not just that, there's a billion other things too. So really something that you got to know about the profession of being a dentist is that it is just not fair sometimes, and that is really tough to take. In the UK, we have a regulator known as the General Dental Council. So this is the regulator for the profession of dentistry within the UK, as in they are the people that approve who get to be a dentist and other dental professions as well, like nurses and hygienists and everything along those lines. So their official slogan is to protect, to promote and maintain the health and well-being of the public. Do you notice what's not in there? Not anything about having the dentist back per se, and don't dentists sometimes feel the full wrath of the GDC because of that? Yup, that's right. A lot of dentists feel like it is guilty until proven innocent rather than innocent until proven guilty, as it should be. Whenever someone takes a case against them via the GDC, these cases can drag on forever. They can be elevated to a fitness to practice trial, in which case you'll be requested to come to London and you literally stand in front of a jury and testify your case, literally like you're going to court. Your career is on the line at this stage, so naturally that can be very stressful for a dentist whenever their livelihood is at stake. Again, these cases tend to drag on for very, very, very long times before anybody gets a decision, perhaps even years, and that's an awful long time to not know whether or not you're going to be able to have a livelihood for the rest of your life that could be gone at any time. Patients can make a complaint against you and you can be instantly notified that you are in trouble. At any stage of the day, you just randomly get an email, and these can be cases from like 5, 10, 15 years ago. There's no statute of limitations. There's no limit in terms of time for patients to be able to take these cases against you. So having that hanging over you is another thing that contributes to the psychological burden and stress of being a dentist on a day-to-day basis. Financial pressures are a thing for dentists. No, I don't agree that it should be that way, but unfortunately that is. Ideally, finance and money would not be a consideration whenever it comes to providing healthcare for the patient. However, it's always going to play a role whenever we have capitalism as a financial system globally. There's kind of two sides to that really. Obviously, you're going to go into university and take on an absolute mountain of debt to be able to graduate as a dentist. So the average dentist qualifies with £50,000 of debt within the UK, which has to be repaid back over a number of years. The other side of things is that you have to be able to bring in a certain number if you're working in someone else's practice. If you're working in a dental practice, you have to be able to bring in a certain number in terms of money to make yourself viable for that business. So naturally, if you're not able to bring home the bacon, so to speak, on that front, then your clinician, your lead clinician or your principal dentist is going to be having a stern conversation with you and trying to understand why that happens. Ultimately, if you can't prove your worth from a financial perspective, to be in a business, can't justify yourself from that perspective, then, well, it doesn't make sense to have you there, and therefore your time in that practice is a limited one, in which case you might be asked to leave. It's not unheard of that happens. It's very sad that that's the case. I wish it wasn't a consideration, but like I say, it's another thing that contributes to the overall anxiety levels of dentists within the UK. How did I wind up escaping? Well, the truth is I never actually really intended to leave dentistry. It was just something that happened that was a big old happy coincidence, and it was a little bit of a story and a little bit of a journey. I'm going to talk about it in this video right here, which you're going to see appear on your screen. Just now, I'll be talking a little bit more about myself and how I retired from dentistry at the age of 29.